Guys, look. So y'all know I'm not part of that whacked out weirdo culture, the black whacked out weirdo culture. You know I'm not part of the culture, right? I am part of the community just based off of my DNA. You know, I'm a black woman. But as far as this whacked out weirdo culture, I'm not part of that. I'm just not. I mean, like, y'all are just really weird. And I'm going to tell you the reason why. We're still talking about bus drivers. No, they are not trying to be all next to me. Oh, sorry. We're still talking about bus drivers. We are still talking about the bus driver conversation. And so apparently, Iyanla and Ebony really just have everyone in some sort of tizzy. Now, look, I'm going to make this clear, and you guys are just going to have to be in your feelings. When I speak about black issues, right? Like, I speak in terms of from a community standpoint, but I want to be clear. I'm a black woman, so I'm always going to probably have a slant towards women's issues. I am a black woman. I identify as being black. I identify as being a woman. And so for me, I'm not going to go as hard for men as I will for women. But I want to talk about this bus driver situation that has everyone losing their mind. You need to stop. Ebony set a boundary for herself, and there are people out there in their feelings because she said for her, a bus driver would not meet her needs, would not meet her standards. Okay? You guys are mad that she set a standard, and because she said they are low performing, I forgot exactly what it was. People are content with bringing in C's and D's, and that's not good enough, and that the community continues to basically, and I'm paraphrasing, okay, basically continues to wallow in mediocrity. Men got mad. But I'm like, it wasn't so long ago, and still happening today, where men are completely denigrating black women, calling them hyenas. You had that whacked out weirdo who shall remain nameless. I call it he who shall not be named, who passed away, and was going around denigrating and cutting down women, black women in particular. And you know what? Black men lauded and applauded him. They elevated that man. Okay? So he can say whatever he wants. He can say whatever he wants, and there's no backlash. There's nothing, right? Oh, he's just saying it, and people don't like the way he's saying it. But wait a second. All she said was, "I will not date a bus driver," and we need to examine that first of all. For those of you talking about you want traditional woman, I'm like, let me tell you something. I don't know anybody who's signing up to want to be a traditional woman for a bus driver. It's not that bus drivers are bad people or anything like that, but let me tell you something. I don't want to be poor because the average bus driver is not going to be able to take care of a family of four or four plus on a bus driver's salary. And for those of you who are like, oh, well, some bus drivers, I'm like, don't give me these edge cases. Because if you have to point up the edge cases, really, all you're really doing is you're just helping prove the point to me. The vast majority of people who are bus drivers are not coinked up. And so it's not so much as wanting to be a gold digger, but people don't want to have to be stressed out. You want to feel protected, you want to feel provided for, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It goes back to all forms of security, like I said in my video on Friday and other videos. Women want security. Security comes in the form of financial security, physical security, sexual security, emotional security, educational security, all those things. And so when a man is driving a bus for a living, does that make him a bad guy? No. And we have to be able to separate the difference. Being a blue collar worker is not bad at all. But women in this day and age wanting somebody who seems to be able to have a command of more resources, that's not a bad thing either. People don't get mad when all of the so-called preferences go out there and siphon money from all of these athletes who are very anti-black and wish they were white. Okay, so a lot of these athletes and entertainers, they don't want to deal with black women, and so they continuously get finessed by non-black women. But nobody talks about that. Nobody talks about the fact that they take their resources and use them outside of the community. It is what it is. Okay, I see it for what it is. I can't be caught up. I'm like, if that's what you want to do, go do it. But then don't start whining and crying when it, getting back to this point. Because someone mentions that she doesn't want to deal with a bus driver unless he owns the bus. You cannot be upset about that and stop thinking it's denigrating. Because let me tell you right now, I would never have dealt with the bus driver. I'm sorry. Well, actually, I'm not even sorry. They don't bring in enough income. And like I said, if you are a woman who is accomplished and you have worked really hard, position yourself so that you can provide for yourself, provide a certain level of security. There is no benefit to dealing with someone who can't do that or match that, right? Because I'm doing it anyway. Then why do I need you? Because now, if I'm dealing with somebody, if I'm making $1 million and you're a bus driver, then it's kind of like, I can't rely on you. I'm the breadwinner. I have to rely on me. He can't take care of the family. So if something happens to her, she can't rely on him. And the fact, this is a very unintellectual conversation for someone to say, hey, if this is an accomplished woman in Ebony, I believe she's a lawyer, and she wants someone who's comparable. First of all, the circles that she runs in are not bus driver circles anyway. She doesn't take the bus. The places that she probably goes for happy hour are places that the bus driver probably can't get into anyway. Probably can't even afford what is on the menu or the drink menu. So for her, that's not even her circle anyway. I don't even understand why these people are getting up in a tizzy, because I know when I was single, I was that just wasn't gonna happen. No, I'm like, I worked too hard to position myself so that I can provide for myself a certain level of comfort. And now you would want me to surrender that because it's like, but it's love. I'm like, we have to stop saying stuff like that. This is the reason why the community is all jacked up. And then it creates these whacked out weirdos. Because everybody's happy with just the bare minimum and practicing learned helplessness. I'm telling you right now, there's no way I would want to sit there and sign up for having a relationship with a bus driver. And the fact of the matter is, Iyanla knew that when she asked Ebony about the whole bus driver situation, let me tell you something. I feel like Iyanla was trolling Ebony because you can't sit there and why would you choose bus driver if you knew that their status in society is not considered in like high regard. It's just not. It's not considered in high regard. She knew what she was doing. So I mean, let me tell you something. Iyanla knows that a bus driver, like it's like I don't think she even held that particular career. Is it a career? I don't know. In high regard. That's why she chose that one. She could have chosen anything. She could have said an electrician. Electricians are highly skilled. Highly skilled. Now, would I go out of my way to date an electrician when I was younger? Probably not. I had this conversation with my husband's cousin, and I said, it's not because the electrician isn't skilled or anything like that, but this is where people get me. They're always like, oh, well, you could be a person who owns. I'm like, the average electrician does not own their own company. Stop it. Stop it. Same thing with the HVAC guy or something like that, or a plumber. Highly skilled people. The average, blue collar worker, or whatever, does not own the company, like most professions, right? So now, where am I going with this? I said, when you meet somebody who's in certain professions, they represent almost like a ceiling, a cap. There's only but so high you can go. Does it mean that they can't make good money? They can't bring in the six-figure incomes and that type of thing? Since that seems to be the six figures seems to be, I think, the litmus test, right? Like, hey, if it's not six figures, you're not considered this high value guy. What I'm saying is, for me, most likely anyway, I was around professional men. The It would have been, not to say you can never meet an electrician, but most likely I would not have been in circles where electricians hang out. Number one. Number two, I know it sounds crazy, like very elitist, but for me, I'm like, I am, I like certain things, and I provide a certain level of comfort for myself. And so now you want me to meet somebody, and it's like, well, he can't provide that comfort for you that you're used to, that you can provide for yourself, but you should just do it because he's a nice guy. Why do we have to continuously tell black women that they have to shoot for average? Average in the black community is below everyone in the United States. It's like 40 something $1,000. No, sir. No, ma'am. But the fact that we're still having this bus driver conversation is so dumb, because I don't understand why people can't make that mental leap. I mean, you could take out the bus driver and insert any position that does not have a high income. It doesn't mean these are bad people. But what it does mean is this person did not necessarily look to want to elevate himself or herself in life. Okay. And so people may say, well, what if that's what he loves to do? I'm like, well, that's great. But I want someone who aspires for more. Okay. Who aspires to continue to learn and grow and all these things. I don't know why people think that we should just have to settle for, and I say, the bus driver. They need to stop. This is the dumbest conversation. And Iyanla knows she needs to stop. Iyanla, call me. You know how to reach me, right? Just go on to my little YouTube page and shoot me an email. We can have a conversation, and I don't care how many times you want to say beloved. You can say it 5 million times. It's not going to change how I think about certain things. I'm like, now you need to stop. I wish somebody would tell me, well, then you're this and you're that. And I'm like, you can think whatever you want. The fact of the matter is, I'm not sitting here eating, was it hand to mouth or whatever. I don't even know what the saying is. No, no, no. Anyway, this whole thing with Ebony, I just feel like there people are just mad because she was firm. And I'm like, well, how else was she supposed to say it? Because when I was doing my live, there was I'm going to assume a gentleman. I don't know. It could have been a white man. You know, I don't trust anybody's avatar anyway. Okay, so I'm just going to be clear. There will be people masquerading as black people. They're really white. There's men. I mean, there might be women masquerading. I don't know. You never know. Men masquerading as women. I don't know. I don't believe anyone. Unless I see you, I don't believe anything. I believe everybody's a troll. But I think it's just really messed up that they feel like she's supposed to say it nicely. So someone was on my live last night, was like making comments. Not last night, it was on Friday. I believe it was Friday. And they seemed to really just have an issue with the fact that, oh, she was denigrating him. Like, she was not. You guys just don't like that she said it, you know? And just like she said on the Breakfast Club, I can't get my words out today. She named certain things. She named it. She called it for what it is, and men didn't like it. They were like, the audacity of this woman not choosing us. Because let me tell you something, there's a lot of black men who think that black women don't have options. They really believe that. And I'm like, child, please. You'll be surprised who's trying to holler at black women. Actually, you wouldn't be surprised. You'll just be mad. Now, look, they were mad because she called the thing a thing. And she was unapologetic about it. But what she didn't do was denigrate the men and call them names. Black men will call black women names. They will they will call them names and give them proximity to animals. And I'm trying to figure out, why is it that black men care so much about Ebony not wanting to be with a bus driver? Because at the end of the day, I'm like, don't you guys have your passports now? Supposedly, allegedly, you guys have passports now. And you're on search for a traditional woman outside of the country. So I say, go ahead and get these passports. I need you guys to hurry up and get your applications. I've always had one. I've had ones where I can't even tell you. But the first time I got one, I think I was like 18. So it's not a phenomenon for me. It's new for some of y'all who finally got a couple of dollars. Okay, you finally got a couple of dollars. So go get your passports, honey. Go get your passports and go find your traditional wife who also is going to siphon money from you. And then you're going to be mad because you got the traditional wife. And you know what? Look, I've seen a lot of this stuff. I was in the military, even though I was out of the military. I've seen what happens with these men and these so-called foreign traditional wives. These women are like scared to say something. They're just trying to, half of them are just trying to escape the situation they're in. These men become controlling. It's awful. Some of them get here, they get smart, and once they learn the system, then they like bounce on the dude. But look, go get your passports. Oh, child. Look, anyway, getting back to this, like, I don't know why people are so upset about that conversation. They need to go ahead and just let it go. Go ahead, let it go. I don't know why you care, because you guys are going, you're going overseas, you're getting passports. So why do you care that she won't date the bus driver? I'm curious to see what these bus drivers are going to do. Are they going overseas? Like let me tell you something. One thing I learned, I was in a job about 11, 12 years ago. And there was a woman next to me. She told me something that was so funny. I've never forgotten. She said, you do not, I mean, I was married, but she said, I do not mess with men who can put only pennies on my dollars. I was like, whoa, she said a word. She said a word. She's like, oh, he's just putting pennies on your dollars, wasting your time. Not to me, of course, because I don't do that. Intelligent woman. She was like, yeah, they put pennies on your dollars. I'm not about that. Messing around with dudes who can only add pennies to your dollars. I'm like, this is the man that's supposed to be lifting you up, and you can support him or lift him up too. But it's like, what is that? Like our community is the only community where the black men have to constantly rely on black women, and then when women start saying no, 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 you are compared to everything else. So I'm like, well, look, go take your low income selves overseas where your money might be able to stretch a little bit farther. Go get your passports. They don't cost that much money, but heck, if you are in a low income job, it's going to take you some time to save up for it. This is why I would never fool with somebody like that. I'm just calling a thing, and people don't like it. I'm not calling anybody names. What I'm saying is that's not good enough for me. Not if I worked hard and I set a standard for myself, and now you want me to lower my standards? No, you need to meet my standards. Better yet, you need to have higher standards than mine so I can engage in hypergamy. I mean, the fact of the matter is men are supposedly leading. They're supposed to lead. Anyway, this bus driver conversation was just a little too much for me. I was like, oh, I'm like, shout out to the bus drivers. Bus drivers are not bad people at all. They just don't earn enough income. And it's okay for people to say that. They don't earn enough income. Black people disproportionately are in many of these positions where we are in these low income earning positions. Doesn't mean these are bad people. And yes, blue collar jobs are what make this world go round, which helps run our country. Absolutely. It doesn't mean I need to strive to be with a bus driver. Y'all are bugging. I mean, look, people are going to be mad. Yeah, I said what I said. Go ahead and let me know your thoughts.